Welcome to A Student of Leadership, a micro-podcast where leaders are made one habit at a time. Hosted by Rob Adams, a leadership veteran with 30 years of experience, this podcast explores key concepts that define exceptional leadership. Each episode delves into a powerful word or strategy, offering practical insights and real-world stories. Whether you're just starting out or an experienced executive, join Rob as he guides you in learning, growing, and leading with purpose.
Welcome to A Student of Leadership, and I am Robert Adams, and we are up to episode 74, and this one is around the audit your team runs on you every single day. This will be an interesting one, everyone. We're going to be talking about the leadership reality that almost every senior leader knows on some level and almost no senior leader actually addresses. The picture your team holds of your leadership is significantly more accurate than the picture you hold of yourself. And that gap between the two is the most important blind spot of most leaders' careers. Now, on Monday, the Leadership Table newsletter on Substack opened the third week of the Honest Quarter with what your team says about you when you leave the room. The argument: the team has a vantage point of your leadership that you don't have, and most leaders never see the picture that they have been forming. If you've not read it, the link is in the show notes. And Friday's Breaking Bread on LinkedIn has the play, always in the operational form, and that drops at 6:45 a.m., where you also can find the link in the show notes at the bottom. And if you missed last week's episode 73, that was on conversations around leaders that postpone them and how much that costs. The 5 common conversations sitting on leaders' internal dockets. That episode is in your feed and pairs directly with this one. The leader who has not heard the truth about themselves cannot have the conversations they need to have. And I wanted to begin today with a personal story. Not that long ago, I went through the Marshall Goldsmith Stakeholder-Centered Coaching Certification. I've referenced that methodology in several pieces over the last several months, but I've not walked through what happened the first month I ran that protocol with my own team. See, the methodology is simple. You identify a small set of stakeholders, the people who actually see your leadership in action. They commit publicly to a behavioral change you're working on. And then monthly, you ask them for one specific suggestion on what you could do differently in that area. Now, this is not feedback on what went wrong. This is not about looking in the past. This is about forward-looking suggestions. And all you do is thank them. This is the no judgment zone. You thank them, you try one, and you report back next month. Now, the first month of running that protocol was the most uncomfortable month of my career. Not because the suggestions were harsh. They were calm, specific, and obviously rooted in months and years of observation that I had been entirely unaware of and was producing such precise data about me. You see, the discomfort came from realizing that the picture they were holding of my leadership was significantly more accurate than the picture I had been carrying myself. That's the gap. I had thought I was a leader who was listening well in meetings. The data suggested I had a pattern of asking a clarifying question and then proceeding to my own answer before the person had fully finished theirs. I had a thought I was a leader who gave credit clearly. Now, the real data suggested I gave credit consistently in private and inconsistently in public, and that the gap between the two was visible enough to be its own ongoing piece of conversation among the team. I had thought I was a leader whose calendar reflected my priorities. Now, the real data suggested my calendar reflected the requests of others, and that what I described as priorities was largely abstract intent uncoupled from the actual hours of my week. Now, none of it was unfair. All of it was, accurate. And the most useful part of the whole experience was that I had been genuinely unaware. The picture I had been carrying of myself had been drifting from the picture being formed about me, and nobody had been willing to tell me until I built a structure that required them to. In the place-setting framework, this is the glass: clarity and transparency. What others can see through you. You see, the cloudy glass cannot show others the way. The cloudy leader cannot lead them toward anything that requires real visibility. And the work of cleaning the glass starts with admitting that the picture you have of yourself is not the picture being formed about you every day by the people that actually have really big impact. Now, if any of this resonates, the Leadership Table newsletter goes deeper every Monday morning. I have one leadership idea, one practice, and one play. It's on Substack, free to subscribe. This week's piece is one worth reading carefully if any of this is landing. Link is in the show notes. I want to talk about what your team sees that you do not. We're going to go deeper here. See, the team is watching three things you cannot see from the inside of your own leadership. The first is the pattern of your attention. Who gets the slightly longer answer? Who gets the slightly more thoughtful response? Who gets the email replied to within the hour, and who gets the email replied to within 3 days? See, most leaders generally believe they are treating their team equally. The team almost never experiences it that way. And the gap between intent and impact is the most consistent source of unfairness perception in any organization. The second is the pattern of your reaction under pressure. Who you become when something goes wrong. Whether your standard tightens or your patience shortens. Whether you ask questions or assign blame. Whether you protect your team in front of senior leaders or position yourself in front of them. The team studies this carefully because it tells them what to expect when the next pressure moment arrives. They remember it long after the leader has forgotten the moment that produced it. And the third is the pattern of inconsistency, where you say one thing in a room and another in another. Whether you hold one team member to a standard, you let another team member skip. Whether the values you describe in town halls do not match the priorities visible in your calendar. The team tracks this. They almost always notice it. And inconsistency, more than any single behavior, is what costs leaders trust and relationship over time. Now the question. The Goldsmith methodology produced one specific question I have used every quarter since I learned. I use it on my team and use it with leaders I coach. It's simple, and yet it's powerful. And here it is. What is something my team probably says about me when I'm not in the room, and what would I want to know? That's what they're asking themselves. And the question, asked of one or two trusted colleagues, peers, or stakeholders, will produce more useful information about a leader than any engagement survey ever has. Most leaders will not ask it. And the reason is the same reason they postponed the conversations from last week's piece. It's costly. It costs them something. The information's unflattering. The picture is not the one they've been carrying. The leaders who ask, receive, and adjust based on what they hear are the ones who close the gap. The leaders who never ask or ask and immediately defend keep the gap open until something else forces it open from the outside, which is usually at significantly higher cost. Now, AI is generally useful for analyzing data about leadership. It's great at flagging patterns. It can synthesize survey input. What it cannot do is hold the accumulated real-time picture of a leader's daily impact that their direct team holds. That picture is not data. It is observation, and the leader has to ask the people. The Leadership Table newsletter is on Substack every Monday. This week's piece on what your team sees is there waiting for you. Link in the show notes. And Friday's Breaking Bread on LinkedIn always delivers the operational form of the play, and that link also appears in the show notes. Next week, we are going to close July with what you owe the people you no longer manage. The leaders you developed who are now somewhere else. Legacy has obligations, everyone, and the reciprocal investment that does not end when they leave your team. Now, I'd love for you to subscribe to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast network, because I don't want you to miss, hopefully, what you see are some powerful leadership learning. lessons, and both links are always in the show notes. If this episode gave you something, please share it with one leader who's been holding a self-picture that needs to be updated. Please run the play this week. Ask your team, what are they saying about you when you leave the room? So I want you to pick one trusted peer. Ask them what your team probably is saying when you're not around. Receive it. Don't defend it. Sit with it for 24 hours. Then pick one specific behavioral change to run for the next 30 days. That is the gap closing in real time. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to A Student of Leadership. I'm Robert Adams, and I'm still learning too. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of A Student of Leadership. Leadership is about who we become and how we help others grow. If you found value in this podcast, share it with a fellow leader and connect with Rob on LinkedIn or leave a review. New episodes drop weekly, so don't forget to subscribe to stay connected. Until next time, keep learning, growing, and leading with intention. Remember, great leaders are made one habit at a time. See you next time on A Student of Leadership.